The Bible in 1 year with Uchido Ayi, and I'm your host, Uchido Ayi. So, if you're following me from the last episode, you know that we've already started to work with Nehemiah, and we've already started seeing all sorts of drama about marriage in Corinthians. In any case, this is the Bible in 1 year where we read the Genesis to Revelation every single day. And today's episode is 224. We have 141 official days to go. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm doing this because I want to get to know I want to draw my own conclusions. You know, I want to find lessons and life lessons for my life. I want to discard beliefs that are no longer serving or never did serve, or basically just to make sure I see it myself. At the end of this year, I would have gone through the entire Bible, and if I had something that was not exactly, I'd be familiar with every story in the Bible. That's the whole idea, right? So because there's so much out there these days, it's good to know what exactly you believe, why you believe it. I want to have that first right of refusal, or first right of choice. Okay? So that's the essence of this. Now, why am I doing it with an audience? I'm doing it because I think that it's better if it's done with someone else. It's better not to do this alone. I'd love to have people to go over the conversations in the comments. I'd also love to be held accountable. So you see, and this is a video I just bashed with the last video, and that's because I had to be I couldn't do it this morning. I had to be somewhere really early, so I didn't have the time. And you see, if I wasn't doing this, I probably just keep on it and just let it go. But here I am showing up, regardless of how tough it's been. Anyway, thank you for joining me today. Today is 224, like I said, and we're looking at Nehemiah 3. So every single day we study this. We're following the structured guide from this particular reading guide, where we look at an Old Testament, a New Testament, a Psalm, and a proverb every day. We're done with the Psalms. I see you. So we're done with the Psalms. So I mean, it's 224 today, but we're still crawling through Proverbs and everything. So we'll just quickly eliminate what we need to. That said, today we're looking at Nehemiah chapters 3 to 5, portions of it, Proverbs 20 verses 5 to 7, and 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verses 20 to 40. I'll start with Proverbs so that we can get that out of the way, since it's two scriptures. Proverbs 21 verses 5 to 7. It says here, the plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. King James. So I have like 6 versions of the Bible here with me, and sometimes I read a simpler version, okay? But this is King James right now, New King James. Anyway, courtesy of those seeking death. The violence of the wicked will destroy them because they refuse to do justice. So we're done with Proverbs. We're looking at Nehemiah now. So the building of the wall has commenced, and it continues here. The fountain gate had been roofed, the doors had been set up, the bolts and the bars and all that was needed set up. Hi Patel, I see you. So this podcast is about reading the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. So I read it, I retell the story, I lace it with humor, I dramatize it if I feel it's necessary to, or I feel like dramatizing it. But the idea is that we're going to go through the Bible from cover to cover this year. So at the end of the year, we'll be done knowing what the stories in the Bible are. So that's what this podcast is about. So a guy called Mr. Shalom Kohes fixed the fountain gate, the pool of Siloam near the king's gardens, and the stairs near the city of David. Another guy called Nehemiah, the namesake of the author of this book. And this book of Nehemiah is written in I wrote it here somewhere, like written in first person, like he's the one narrating his story himself. Anyway, another guy called Nehemiah, who is the namesake of the author of this book, Nehemiah, as book handled David's tomb where the tombs of David's families were, all through to the water reservoir and the house of the warriors, and on and on. There was a long list of many other people working, which I didn't bother to list here. You could go check them up when you look at the scriptures that we leave in the description box. So Mr. Sambalat, remember we were introduced to Sambalat yesterday. Mr. Sambalat was super upset. Look at these feeble Jews. What do they think they're doing? Eh? Do they think because they offered a few sacrifices they can just build this wall in one day? And of course his accomplice Tobiah said not to pay attention to them. Even a tiny little fox would just crush that wall. Do they think that we're joking here? Do they think it's a joke to build this wall? Do they know how long it took to build this wall? Who do they think they are? You know, a small fox would just collapse the thing. But Nehemiah prayed to God and said, so I'm going to say this in Nigerian English. God, sure you're hearing them now. Sure you're hearing them, ba? You're hearing them, oh, you're hearing them. Please don't erase their sins. Don't let it go. Don't let this thing they are doing go. They are provoking you. They are embarrassing you. They are mocking you. Don't let it go. And they are doing this in front of your builders. Anyway, they made progress, and soon they were halfway through. Their distractors tried very hard to plant confusion in their midst, and they kept praying and guarding the city. So initially when they came on board, they were like, oh, we just want to build a temple, we need to get it done, and they were just building. But the drama that these other people from outside brought made them realize that we can't all just be building, we need to have some people guarding. So they had portions of the wall. So because the wall was very large, and just a few compared to the number of people that city was built for, the wall was built for, they were not enough. So they were spread thin at different portions of the wall. That meant there were portions of the wall that were not manned, and portions of the wall where people, detractors and enemies could easily break in. In any case, the rubble was a lot as well. So Nehemiah prayed, and then he started to place people at different parts of the walls, so that no part of the wall is really left like a weak entry. Every part was shielded, so that there's at least some sort of protection. All right. Anyway, at this time, the people began to complain. The rubble is too much. We can't finish this wall. We can't even do this thing alone. This is too much. And enemies are waiting. Look at them there, waiting to swoop down on us, kill us, and stop this work, And so on and on the murmuring continued. So Nehemiah, like, what's going on? Don't be scared. Come on, guys. They're like, no. Then some people are like, overheard them talking about coming to kill you guys. So there was panic, and everybody was just grumbling. And then these people were complaining that, oh, the work is too much. We can't finish. The enemies are waiting to kill us. So Nehemiah now decided to. So I already said that he now decided to place guards in the exposed areas and arm them with bows, arrows, and spears. He encouraged them by telling them not to be afraid, because their God was great, and he will protect them. You see, I think that your mindset is so powerful, because Nehemiah clearly, I think he thought differently, had kind of like a different spirit about him. Something about him was a very visionary leader type personality. So he took on the role as a governor in that place. He told them, so you guys, I'm arming you guys. Some of you are going to be working. Some of you are going to be building the walls. Everybody's going to have a weapon, okay? Everybody will have a weapon, so that if you are attacked, you can defend yourself. In any case, we are not going to stop this work. We are not going to stop the work. So don't be scared, okay? Fight for your life, fight for your children, fight for your wives. So the enemies realized, of course, that God had frustrated their plans. They had hoped to swoop in on the builders of the wall, without them knowing. But now they had been told that there was a plan. So now when you look at them from far, you could see that they had spread themselves in such a way that they were armed and guarded, so they wouldn't be able to invade them that easily. Anyway, Every day they even had a trumpeter who used to go around the wall. If you notice anything like enemy advancing, he'd blow the trumpet and everybody, like a muster point, and people would just muster to where he was, to warn people where he was. So they spread out and continue to walk early morning, late into the evening, from sunrise to sunset. No one took off their clothes. I don't know what that meant, but I think no one took breaks whenever they got to work. That's what I feel. Sometimes the English is very poetic, and figures of speeches are used. This is not a figure of speech, clearly, but I feel like they're trying to just help you understand that they didn't take breaks. That's what I understood. Hi, Hebron. Do you know? Yes, I do actually. I studied science in school. I'm an architect. I work, and I'm currently even a PhD researcher. So I know a thing or two about the solar system. Yeah. All right, let's continue. So some men at that time began to complain. They had many wives. So some men with many wives began to complain. They needed food for their large families. They had mortgaged their homes during the famine, and they now needed to borrow money from their from their like relatives, so that they could pay taxes. But the relatives were taxing them heavily. So so I really don't understand why those relatives. Well, let me just stick to the notes. Anyway, so they were like, oh, we have large families, we've mortgaged their families, now we're forced to sell our children into slavery so that we could raise money and pay taxes. We also are wealthy, yet we are being forced to sell our kids into slavery for money. We are just as wealthy as those other wealthy families, but those guys are. They are charging us interest that are very high, forcing us to borrow money, sell off our things, and pay taxes. So Nehemiah was terribly upset. Why is this even going on? Why? So he calls a meeting between the parties, and he says, why are you guys taxing your brothers this way? Don't you see that everyone is trying to raise money? Can't you see we are busy? Can't you see we are trying to build the wall? Why are you guys charging them monies for things you know that they own? I mean, we have people who have been sold into slavery. We are trying very hard to redeem those people by raising and selling some of our property, and then you guys are charging them with interest so high that they are forced to sell their children back into slavery. This is not good. Come on, guys. No, this is not acceptable. So they're like, we're sorry. We don't know what to say. Anyway, Nehemiah addresses these issues and challenges them to stop doing that. And the people said, all right, we'll do what you say. We'll stop charging large interests, and will fear God and avoid doing anything that will bring mockery to God. Will restore their property, and restore the interest that's, of course, he said they should repay the interest that they had charged. And they're like, that's fine, we'll do as you say. So all through, for the 12 years that Nehemiah was governor, for the 12 years that Nehemiah was governor, they never charged them taxes again and never took advantage of their relatives again. So that ends the Old Testament. The New Testament we're still talking about marriage rules and what's acceptable, right? So Paul, looking at 1 Corinthians 7, verses 20 to 40. So Paul says, about remaining as you are, we've talked about marriage, but about remaining as you are, if you were born it, because I think Paul was trying to say, however you were when you came into Christianity, don't just leave it, okay? The disorganization of trying to change. Oh, I used to be a slave, but I'm a Christian now, so I'm free. And then the owner is like, you're not free, you are still my slave. But I'm now free because I'm no longer Jew. I'm not, all of those things were bringing a lot of administrative issues. So Paul probably just like, everybody just as you were. If you came here unmarried, stay that way. If you came here a slave, stay that way. But if you get freedom, you can take it. But the idea is that just stay. What we want is order, peace, and obedience to God. Okay, let's not make this a thing. So he says, if you're a slave, don't worry. If freedom comes, though, take it. You are now free in the Lord. If you were free when you became a Christian, then you're now a slave of Christ. If you were a slave and you became a Christian, you're now free in the Lord. God has paid a very high price, so don't be enslaved by the world. Don't be enslaved by all the other things that enslave other people. The rest of you remain as you were. Now, about the young unmarried women, I don't really have any command from God per se, but God has given me some wisdom here, so I'll just share with you guys. So this is Paul talking now. I'll just share it with you guys. So because of the present crisis going on, I'm not really sure what the crisis he was talking about was, but I guess it's the crisis of marriage. I can just imagine, most people stuck to their race, their tribes, their countries. So when these people gathered as Christians, there must have been all this melting pot drama. People saying, "Oh, I'm from this country and I want to get married to you, but these are the laws of my country. This is how we eat. This is how we dress. This is how we behave. This is how our marriages are. This is how all of that stuff." So Paul is like, remain as you were. Now, about the unmarried girls, I don't really have anything to say, but I have some ideas and I'll share them. Because of the present crisis, I think you should remain as you were. Do not end your marriage and don't seek to get married. In other words, if you were married, don't end it. If you were unmarried, don't really push to get married. It's not a sin either way. None of them are a sin. If you do it though, it's just that marriage has a lot of attending troubles, and I'm just trying to spare you the drama around marriage. So I guess the things we see today, of course today the divorce rates have gone through the roof because lots of people are no longer able to stomach or tolerate the things that make for incompatibilities in marriage or unfaithfulness or money issues or whatever the issues are about marriage. Paul knew this way back then, and he was like, I know this thing, I'm trying to spare you guys. If you're not married, let it go, let it be. But I'll say this. So he says it's not a sin if you guys get married though. Just that marriage will trouble you, and I'm trying to spare you some marriage drama. But I'll say this, guys, time is short. So I believe that Paul strongly believed that Jesus would return, maybe even in his lifetime. Justice for Chisom, why? Why? See, let me tell you something, Chisom, you are here. Mobile is gone. You have to do something about your own life now, right? So let's stumbled here. I'm happy to have you. Are you a girl or a boy? Because I know that name, both girls and boys answered. I pray that Mubad finds peace. Let him rest in peace. People should allow him rest in peace. Anyway, so Paul says, I'm only trying to spare you guys the drama that surrounds marriage, but I'll say this, time is short, and getting married, if you get married, so even if you are married, you shouldn't focus only on your marriage. So Paul, like I was saying before, okay, I don't know whether you can change anything about that here. Anyway, I pray that he finds peace. I pray that somehow justice is found for him. And good to see you, guy. Anyway, so Paul is saying, so like I was saying before, Mr. Justice interrupted me. I think that Paul believed that maybe the world will soon end or something, because it was like, there's no need to get married, guys. There's no need, Paul was, Paul, sha. You see, Paul, he must have been extremely offensive. Like I told you guys some episodes ago, that I can even describe him. I feel like he's one short, pot-bellied, argumentative man, with a very pure, sincere heart, but like he would not let go easily. That's how I feel Paul must have looked. Please, I don't know. Anyway, he says the world as we know it will soon pass away. So whether you are crying, Chisom, did you hear that? Whether you are crying or whether you are rejoicing or whether you are buying and selling, don't be absorbed by the things of this world. Do not become attached to the issues of this world. Okay? I want you all to be free from life's issues so that you can spend time doing the work of the Lord. So I think Paul I think you, well, I don't know. You didn't quite say that properly, Chisom. All right, so he says married people think about their responsibilities and pleasing their spouses. Okay, and so if you were not married, you'd just probably be thinking of doing the Lord's work. That's what Paul is saying here. A married man's attention would be divided. Even a single woman or man, a single man or man can just devote their time to doing God's work. Everybody is really not like Paul. Mr. Paul, everybody is not like you. Some people want to be married, they want to have companionship, they want to have children. Everybody cannot be like you, traveling around the whole place, planting. Everybody cannot be like you. But anyway, he admitted it yesterday's episode that yeah, everybody can be like me. We all have different strengths, different pieces. Don't be afraid. I have a really, really great marriage, and Chisom. I really do. Like my husband is very kind and he's very mature. And I met him in university. We married for love, and we were determined that we would grow and become wealthy together. Us against the world. Us against the world. That's how my husband and I, that's what we say. So even if we get into an argument now and we are disagreeing about something, and I just say, remember, it's us against the world, not us against each other, our anger will calm down. That's one of the tricks for my marriage. I've been married now 17 years. And we've just gotten better, and we've had a richer, more. I don't relate with some of the bad stories that I hear out there. I guess because we both agreed that we'll work on this. We'll talk about whatever needs to talk about, and we accept that it's us against not us against everyone, like we're quarreling, or just like it's us. We're in this thing together. We have to have each other's back. Okay, when we disagree indoors. When we go out there, we become one front. That really has helped our marriage. So yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So don't be afraid, really, because if you find a really fantastic girl, you'll be shocked how happy you guys can build something. So don't be discouraged, okay? Even though Paul is right, marriages do have some challenges, so you really want to be prayerful when you want to select a spouse. I have had a good one, and I pray to have a long and rich one as well. All right, so let's just round up. We've taken more time than I expected. So Paul was saying here that a married man's attention will be divided, but if you're single, you can devote your life to serving God. And serving God doesn't necessarily mean being a preacher. Do I need to say that? It should be a no-brainer, but I think that many times people need to understand. I'm in the design space, but I'm teaching because I love the Lord. But doesn't mean I'm a pastor. I'm not a pastor. I'm not, you understand, like wherever you are, whatever faith you have, you should know what you believe. So that's why I'm doing this Bible in 1 year. Okay? So Chisam, don't leave here without subscribing, Don't leave here without subscribing. All right? So Paul, I'll round up now in 2 minutes. So Paul says, I'm not trying to place restrictions on anybody. I'm just trying to help you guys serve God and avoid distractions. But if you think that you won't behave yourself with your fiance, or the lady you've been betrothed to, I guess they should betroth themselves very early, and you can't control yourself, by all means, go ahead and marry. Hello, 5 minutes, 5 equals 0. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, but if you cannot manage your emotions and your raging hormones, please go get married, okay? Go get yourself a beautiful girl or a nice guy. Some people will say, and let him be rich on top of it, Go, if you can't control yourself, by all means, it's all good, okay? So, if you choose to marry, it's good. If you choose not to marry, it's all good as well. A wife is bound to her husband as long as he lives. But once he dies, she's free to remarry. But you can only remarry a Christian. That's what Paul is saying. In my opinion, though, this is not me, my opinion. This is what Paul said. In Paul's opinion, though, it would be better for her to stay single. So I think Paul was really advocating for single people. And I know that I know a couple of people that, back in the day, I didn't want to get married. I used to say things like, so what my thoughts about this, right? I became a Christian and I kind of like embraced some of the principles of the Bible when I was in the university. But before then, I didn't even want to get married. I kept telling myself that I'll just have babies and take care of my babies. I'm going to be wealthy. I'm very hardworking. I don't need a man to take care of me. And that was how I used to be. Until a friend of mine came visiting one day and he was like, why do you need to have these difficult rules for yourself? There may be somebody great out there who wants to marry you. Why are you making it hard for yourself and making, so I didn't have a change of heart then, but eventually I met a great guy and I got married and I haven't looked back. So it is better for her to stay single. That's what Paul is saying, or the man, of course. I think I'm giving you God's counsel when I say this. That's what Paul is saying. So Paul is clearly an advocate for single life. But Paul's advocacy for single life probably, I guess it means that you devote yourself to just helping people, doing right thing, building your career, serving God, and making sure you help people live lives worthy of God, right? It's not, I don't want to get married, therefore I have 35 girlfriends. I don't think that's what Paul meant here. I don't want to get married, so therefore I have 55 boyfriends, and I'm proud of the fact. I don't think that's what Paul meant. He's like, if you're going to be burning with desire, then find a nice person, a good person, somebody you're compatible with, somebody you want to rob a bank with. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but you get the gist. I just mean someone you bond with that well, that you feel like, let's go rob a bank together, And that was somebody's marriage proposal, by the way, my cousin. That's how her husband proposed to her. Let's go rob a bank together. And she's like, yeah. They two have been married for 17 years. Anyway, so I think that Paul advocates for single life, but that single life that is devoted to God. So, but if you have chosen to live a single life, it's okay, really. It's nothing wrong with it. But you want to make sure that if you want to serve God, that you are able to keep body and soul together, exercise self-control, and know that God will help you. He says here that I think I'm giving you God's counsel when I say this. This has been the longest episode I've done of this Bible in 1 year series. But I'm okay. I don't mind, because Chisom was here. And 5 minus 5 equals 0. And of course, all the other people, Shiv Patel, Liva Hepburn, and all the other people I saw who didn't say something. Thank you all for joining me today. That'll be it for today. Tomorrow we're going to do episode 225. So please subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification button so that you will know when next I go live. Okay? I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you all for joining me today, and God bless you. General Tony, you missed. You did. But join me tomorrow. Just subscribe so that you can join me tomorrow, okay? God bless you. See you.